Hi, it's William. Welcome to FlySpoke. In my vise today I have a hare's ear emerger. And this happens to be a size 12. It's on a Mustad 3906B, which is the little bit longer shanked version of the 3906. Standard nymph hook. And I've got a 1/8 inch copper bead. And we're going to go about tying this fly, and basically when we're done it looks like a standard hare's ear nymph, except then we put the collar on. So I'll show you how to tie this. Okay, so 3906B, copper 1/8 inch bead, and I like this sheer 14/0. It's a 70 denier thread, and it's extremely strong, distributed by Gordon Griffith. And just putting on a little bit of thread as a base, and I'm going to take a hare's ear mask. Okay, and if you look at a hare's ear mask, there's a few different places on the hare's ear mask. Some of it will offer you tail material. If you look at it, over on the cheek side, it's really good for dubbing. And I'm going right for down here at the bottom where there's lots of these little guard hairs. And I'm going to take a little patch out of there to make a tail. So I am going to remove the longest guard hairs, and then I'm going to hold it by the tips, and I'm going to remove all the under fur. And that's going to leave me just with a little nubby tail. I can cinch on, work towards the back. Stop your thread right where the barb starts. Okay, just clean that up a little bit. Now it is called a gold ribbed hare's ear, the original, except we got a copper bead on, so I'm going to use some copper wire for the rib. And this is standard small copper wire, and you don't need a lot. And I'm just going to put that in right at the back. Alright, now I'm going to go to that hare's ear mask again, and right over there in the cheeks, I am going to take a little bit of that fur, and I'm going to leave the under fur on, and I'm just going to make a nice tapered body. Now you could extra weight this fly by putting some imitation lead weighting material right up near the bead. Okay. And there'll be excess hair sticking out. I'll just turn my rib. You notice I left room there because we are still going to put a thorax on here. Alright, so let's just take a peek. Anything that's seriously unruly I like to take out. Okay, next thing is a pheasant tail. This one happens to be a dark olive color. You can go with the browns or the dark olives. And I'm going to take a good bunch of these barbules off of the pheasant tail. I'm going to use it as a wing casing. I'm just going to tie that in up top and let it point back. And come to about right there. Next item is going to be a partridge feather. I have a partridge skin here. And I'm going to take one partridge feather of reasonable lengths. You can look at them and you can see that they have lots of different lengths to the partridge feather. But you want to gauge by the size of the fly for this soft hackle effect. You want to gauge how much and how long they are. Not have them too overpowering. So it's going to get tied in this way, and I don't want a real bushy, so I'm going to take half off. So I'm going to leave on the ones in the back that are going to face backwards, and I'm going to remove these ones on that side of the feather, leaving that little tip. Take my scissor and I'm going to trim off all but just the tiniest amount of that tip, and that's going to give me some grab. Okay, I'm going to tie this in right up next to the bead, right next to the bead. That's going to go in right like that. It's going to get spun on in just a bit. Let's let it sit there, let it hang there. Now I'm going to go back to the dubbing, take some more of the rabbit dubbing. And I'm going to build up a fairly good size, and I'm taking this dubbing now and just working it in my hands. And I'm going to make a fairly good size thorax here. A little more accentuated than the body, a building of the thorax to the body. Okay. Again, let's get rid of anything that's sticking out too much. You want a little bit of that craziness. It's actually enhances the fly quite a bit to have that little bit of craziness. And now I'm going to pull over the wing casing, make sure I turn behind the feather I put on for the soft hackle, then bend back. Just crisscross one big loop right over to the back here. Okay, see how that's on there like that. And you can trim that tight. And then down the bottom there, you can just take a dubbing brush like that, and that will, any of the thread that you crisscross, it's going to melt right in. Just come right to the front. Now, just going to grab my hackle plier. I'm going to wrap on the soft hackle. Now you could have just left the fly. Here, look, we could have just left the fly. There's a hare's ear, right? Could have just left it like that. But now we just spin the soft hackle, and you want it to be loose and crazy. You're not looking for too much of this material. Doesn't need a lot. Looks better, works better sparse. That's plenty. wrapping right down in the space between the bead and the dubbing. Now let's take this, and crazier the better. These bugs, when they're coming up in the column in order to try to lose their the shell around them, they are really disheveled. So now once we have that collar on, we could take, this happens to be this ice dub, peacock black. You could also take a little bit of red if you wanted. Here's the original fly there in the beginning of the video. Here's with the peacock black, right? You could put orange. You could twirl on a little bit of red at the front, just like that. Throw a little orange on if you like. Or just the peacock black is such an attractor. It's basically the same kind of color as peacock herl. And we all know the iridescence factor of peacock herl, what that's like. And just throw a little bit on the front like that. Bends the soft hackle back. Hare's ear soft hackle. There it is.